Understanding the limitations of accessing content from external websites and URL is crucial in various technological contexts. Several factors contribute to why a system might be unable to retrieve information from a given web address. These limitations can stem from security protocols, network configurations, or inherent design constraints. Firstly, security protocols are often implemented to protect systems from malicious content. Websites may contain harmful scripts or malware that could compromise the security of a system attempting to access them. To mitigate this risk, many systems are configured to block access to external websites or to scan the content for threats before allowing it to be processed. This is particularly common in corporate or government environments where security is paramount. Secondly, network configurations can also restrict access to external websites. Firewalls, proxy servers, and other network devices may be configured to block traffic to certain websites or types of content. This can be done for a variety of reasons, such as to prevent employees from accessing inappropriate content, to conserve bandwidth, or to comply with legal regulations. For example, a company might block access to social media websites during work hours to improve productivity. Thirdly, inherent design constraints can also limit the system's ability to access external websites. Some systems are simply not designed to handle the complexities of retrieving and processing web content. This could be due to limitations in processing power, memory, or software capabilities. For instance, a simple embedded system might not have the resources necessary to run a web browser or to handle the complexities of the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or HTTP. In addition to these technical limitations, there are also legal and ethical considerations that can restrict access to external websites. Copyright laws, data privacy regulations, and other legal frameworks may prohibit the retrieval or use of certain types of content. For example, scraping data from a website without permission could be a violation of copyright law. Ethical considerations also play a role. Some websites may have terms of service that prohibit automated access, and respecting these terms is important for maintaining good relationships with website owners. When a system is unable to access content from an external website, it is important to understand the underlying reasons. This can help to identify the appropriate solution, whether it is to adjust security settings, modify network configurations, or upgrade system capabilities. In some cases, it may simply be necessary to accept the limitations and find alternative ways to access the desired information. The inability to access content from external websites can manifest in various ways. A user might encounter an error message indicating that the website is unavailable, or the system might simply fail to retrieve any data. In some cases, the system might be able to access the website but unable to process the content due to format incompatibilities or other technical issues. Diagnosing the root cause of the problem often requires a careful examination of system logs, network configurations, and security settings. It is also important to consider the possibility that the website itself is experiencing problems. Websites can go down for a variety of reasons, such as server maintenance, hardware failures, or denial of service attacks. Before assuming that the problem lies with the system attempting to access the website, it is always a good idea to check whether the website is accessible from other locations. The Internet is a vast and complex network, and accessing content from external websites is not always a straightforward process. Understanding the limitations involved is essential for building robust and reliable systems. By taking into account security protocols, network configurations, design constraints, and legal considerations, it is possible to develop systems that can effectively access and process web content while minimizing the risks involved. Further considerations arise from the evolving nature of web technologies. Websites are constantly changing, and new security threats are constantly emerging. To keep up with these changes, systems need to be regularly updated and maintained. This includes updating security software, patching vulnerabilities, and adapting to new web standards. Failure to do so can result in systems becoming unable to access or process content from certain websites. Another important factor to consider is the use of application programming interfaces, or API. Many websites provide API that allow developers to access their content in a structured and controlled manner. Using API can be a more efficient and reliable way to access web content than scraping data directly from websites. API also often provide better error handling and documentation, making it easier to integrate them into systems. However, API also have their limitations. They may require authentication, and they may impose rate limits or other restrictions on usage. It is important to carefully review the API documentation before using it to ensure that the system can comply with these requirements. In addition to API, there are also various libraries and tools available that can help with accessing and processing web content. These tools can simplify tasks such as parsing HTML, extracting data, and handling cookies. However, it is important to choose these tools carefully and to ensure that they are compatible with the system being used. Some tools may be outdated or may contain security vulnerabilities. Finally, it is important to remember that accessing content from external websites is just one aspect of building a complete system. Other important considerations include data storage, data processing, and user interface design. It is important to design the system holistically to ensure that all of these components work together seamlessly. For example, if the system is designed to collect data from multiple websites, it is important to have a robust data storage system in place to handle the large volume of data. The system should also be designed to process the data efficiently and to present it in a user-friendly manner. In summary, accessing content from external websites is a complex task that requires careful consideration of various technical, legal, and ethical factors. By understanding the limitations involved and by using the appropriate tools and techniques, it is possible to build systems that can effectively access and process web content while minimizing the risks involved. Remember to always prioritize security, respect website terms of service, and comply with all applicable laws and regulations. Considering the specific nature of the content, it is crucial to adapt the access method accordingly. For instance, accessing static content such as images or text files is generally less complex than interacting with dynamic websites that use JavaScript or require user authentication. When dealing with dynamic websites, it may be necessary to use a headless browser or other advanced techniques to simulate user interactions and retrieve the desired content. Headless browsers are web browsers that can run in a server environment without a graphical user interface, making them ideal for automated web scraping and testing. Furthermore, the frequency of access should be carefully managed to avoid overloading the target website or triggering anti-scraping measures. Implementing delays between requests, using rotating proxies, and adhering to the website's robots. TXT file are common strategies for responsible web scraping. The robots. TXT file is a standard text file that websites use to communicate their crawling policies to web robots, such as search engine crawlers. It specifies which parts of the website should not be accessed by automated crawlers. Respecting the robots. TXT file is a fundamental ethical principle of web scraping. Another crucial aspect is handling errors and exceptions gracefully. Network connectivity issues, server errors, and changes in website structure can all cause unexpected errors during content access. Implementing robust error handling mechanisms such as try-except blocks in programming languages is essential for preventing the system from crashing and for logging errors for debugging purposes. When an error occurs, the system should attempt to retry the request, notify the user, or take other appropriate actions. Moreover, the format and structure of the retrieved content can vary significantly across different websites. Therefore, it is often necessary to implement custom parsing logic to extract the desired information from the raw HTML or other data formats. This may involve using regular expressions, HTML parsers, or other specialized tools. The parsing logic should be designed to be robust and resilient to changes in website structure. It is also important to consider the performance implications of content access. Retrieving and processing large amounts of data from external websites can be resource-intensive and time-consuming. Optimizing the access method, caching frequently accessed content, and using asynchronous programming techniques can help to improve performance. Asynchronous programming allows the system to perform multiple tasks concurrently, improving overall efficiency. In addition to technical considerations, it is also important to be aware of the legal and ethical implications of accessing content from external websites. Copyright laws, data privacy regulations, and terms of service agreements can all impose restrictions on how web content can be accessed and used. It is essential to comply with these restrictions to avoid legal liability and to maintain ethical standards. Obtaining explicit permission from the website owner before accessing their content is always a good practice. Furthermore, the retrieved content should be used responsibly and ethically. It should not be used for malicious purposes, such as spamming, phishing, or spreading misinformation. The content should also be attributed appropriately to its original source. In conclusion, accessing content from external websites is a multifaceted endeavor that requires a comprehensive understanding of technical, legal, and ethical considerations. By carefully planning and implementing the access method, handling errors gracefully, and complying with all applicable regulations, it is possible to build systems that can effectively access and utilize web content for a variety of purposes.